So in today's video, I'm talking about 7 habits that helped me make my first $1 million a year by the age of 22. And no, it's not going to be cold showers. It's not going to be blue light blocking glasses. It's not going to be, a ketogenic diet or any of these fad trends. These are going to be things that I believe personally have been built on foundational ideas that are timeless no matter the culture we're living in, whether the internet exists or not, or even the business models that we all tend to run, these internet-based business models they run, exist or not, that will legitimately help you become a more productive, more wealthy, and more well-rounded and high-achieving individual. And I can honestly say that before I implemented these 7 habits into my life, I was a significantly less capable, productive, and really wealthy individual because I limited my thinking by not doing these things. And I'll explain what I mean by that here in a moment, and you'll understand as I share the habits kind of what I mean. So I'm not going to waste your time. Here are the 7 habits that helped make me $1 million a year earner by the age of 22. The first habit is kind of a mental one, and it's asking who, not how. And there's a great book on this. I've never read it, but that's where I get the idea. And the idea is if you're solving a problem in your life or your business, don't look at how to solve the problem. Find somebody who's already solved that problem and either pay them for their time or build a relationship or something. A great example of this is I learned a lot from one of my clients who actually paid me money about 3 years ago and worked with me, and I got him to that $40,000 or $50,000 a month level, and that was about where I was at, so I could really only coach somebody kind of to that level. But he's gone on to do $400,000 to $500,000 a month, taking some of the foundational things that I gave him at that time and scaling them further. So he was able to build a team before I even could. I didn't really know who to hire, how to hire, when to hire, how to run that culture and everything. But he went ahead and did that and scaled way quicker than I could because he was a little bit less fearless about, hiring. And so when I started realizing that the next step to getting, to that $1 million a year or 2, or even now we're at about the $3 to $5 million a year mark, it should be where we end, 2022. That I don't think it's really, overshooting too much. But anyways, when I realized that the next step was building a team, I didn't start asking, how do I build a team? I started asking, who do I know that I have a relationship with or that I could pay to have a relationship with that has built a team? And lo and behold, this person came to mind. So one day I said, hey, dude, are you open for an hour or 2 hour long call where you just break down your org chart for me and I see who you've put in place and how you've done that? And honestly, there were some things that I even disagreed with. My instincts went against some ways that he led certain individuals in his company, the compensation structure and everything. And he has kind of a habit of getting rid of people and replacing the role a lot, and people in his own company will end up competing with him, and it doesn't always work for him. But it does work because he's doing $500,000, $400,000 a month. So I was like, all right, I'm going to learn what I can from this, but do it my own way. So that's the first habit of who, not how. And the second habit actually branches off of that idea of doing it your own way. So in the business space today, there's a ton of people preaching a new mechanism or a new way to achieve your end goal. Marketers, myself included, do an incredible job at saying, hey, do you want this? Do you want this outcome? Well, here's the mechanism that I'm going to sell you on to help you achieve that outcome. And if they're good enough at telling their personal story or their client stories, they can convince you that the mechanism that they will teach you for a measly $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 will get you to that outcome. And so it's very easy to get distracted with what already works and almost put aside the things that are working for you because of somebody else's mechanism that's working for them. So habit number 2, I'm really just calling self-awareness. It's being aware of what has worked for you, investing a lot of money, learning a lot of things, eating up all the information. And it's, for me especially, I tend to go from one mentor to another. So I invest all the way in with one person, buy their top tier thing, learn a ton from them, go as far as I can with their thing, and then I go to the next one, right? That's kind of how I've done it. But every time I reach that top level thing, there's always something they say that I just don't all the way agree with, and it just doesn't sit well with me for whatever reason. Maybe it's the way that they handle their taxes, or it's the way that they build their team, or it's the way that they promote their product, or whatever it is. So I have to almost lean on my own understanding and lean on my previous lessons that I've already learned and apply it to the framework that they're giving me. Because if you lose this self-awareness and if you become basically just a full byproduct of the frameworks and the coaching that you're in and the books you read and everything like that, you almost become this robotic, you've almost lost yourself in the process of just becoming a mirror of the ideas you've learned. And I've found that when I get there, because I have gotten there before, it's almost like the money that I make as a byproduct of really almost selling out on my values is ultimately a net negative because I still have to rediscover myself in the process so that I can scale. Because if you leave yourself behind and you leave your values behind, you leave the way that you want to do things behind in the pursuit of, growing your business, for me personally, and this isn't true for everybody, but for me personally, I've found that it's harder to take that next leap because it feels like that next leap is just another, another limb that I'm cutting off. And so I've had to figure out how to take the ideas that I've learned and make them work in my own way. And I think that's the ultimate way to use coaching and masterminds and programs and stuff like that. And these ideas kind of bring me into habit number 3, which is having the right circle. And this is something that you hear all the time, and it's preached a lot in the self-development space. It's like, get the right circle, be around the right people and everything like that. But I'm going to give you a major tip that I was never given when it comes to building that right circle. And it's to first work on yourself and become the sort of a person that's worthy of those relationships. I won't drop any names, but just today I had a 20 or 30 minute mastermind call with somebody who does about $800,000 a month, and he's asking me, hey Trey, like, how do you build better brand equity? How have you built this relationship with your audience? Because with as small of an audience as I have, we run off of it a massive company. And he's got, 6 million, 7 million followers across all of his socials and everything. And he does, $800,000 a month. So if you look at the ratio, it's like we have a way better ratio of creating value from our viewership than he does. And I wouldn't be able to attract those sorts of relationships and add value and have those back and forth relationships if it weren't for knowing who I am, like I said in the previous habit, and working on, working off of a place of self-awareness and moving into habit, the habit I'm on now, developing myself in the direction that I know is true to who I am. And so this is also a great piece of advice for like finding the right relationship. People ask me like, how did I meet my girlfriend who became my fiance and is now gonna be my wife? Like, how do you meet that person? Well, honestly, if you want to attract anybody into your life, you need to first be that person. This even applies to the sort of clients that you want to have. If you want good clients, be a good client. Don't be the kind of person that sits on a major decision for 6 months. Don't be the kind of person that says, hey, can you split this up into 8 payments? If you yourself embody the sort of behavior that you wish your clients would give to you, you will begin to attract those people. So growing your circle and growing the right circle really comes down to being the right person first. And your circle isn't just your people you call. It's not just your friends. It's also your clients and your team and your romantic relationships. These things are all mirrors of you. So if you're wondering, like, why can't I seem to attract a good relationship into my life? Why won't they stick around? Why do I only get toxic people in my life? Why is it that all of my clients end up wanting a refund and they're not happy? And even though I did everything I told them I would, they still find why are all of my relationships so hard to navigate? That brings me into the next habit, which is be the sort of person that you want to attract. So, on this channel, if you scroll down, you'll see people that invested with us at raw zero and built their business from scratch. No offer, no niche, no nothing. And built it over a series of like 2 or 3 years to a 7-figure level. And if I myself wasn't the sort of person to take the input somebody's giving me, act on it, and build my life and my business around it and get results with it, then I myself could not expect other people to do the same for me. In the same way, if I want a sense of unconditional love in my life and being accepted for who I am and being appreciated and respected for all that I bring to the table by my personal relationships, then I first need to give that to them. And for my team, if I want them to be disciplined, hardworking individuals with a rigorous sense of, relentless focus towards our company goals and projects, I myself need to embody that modality of working and thinking. Because ultimately it's just unfair, and it doesn't really make that much sense for other people as they're looking at you behaving a certain way if you then ask them to behave a different way. It doesn't feel right. There's no integrity there. So I hope that makes sense. Be the sort of client you want to attract. Be the sort of team member you want to attract. Be the sort of, romantic relationship or spouse that you want to attract. Be the sort of friend or peer that you want to attract. Embody the things that you want in other people in your life, and you will attract more of them. Which brings me to the next habit, and it's basically just a relentless, almost hardcore acceptance of responsibility and a recognition that everything that you've built in your life right now is a byproduct of the decisions that you have made in the past. And look, obviously there's things that you can't control. Like, I went through a house fire when I was 16 or 17, which threw my entire life for a loop. My parents ran a business at the time, and they just couldn't focus on it, and we started to go into a crate. I've got plenty of videos on that. You can learn my sob story somewhere else. That wasn't in my control. Obviously, I didn't control the lightning hitting our home, which that's literally how it happened. It was the most dramatic thing ever. I didn't control that. But I did control how I responded. And I did control what I did with that. And so, if at any point in your life you find yourself blaming or pointing finger, like you are the reason why, or this is the reason why, that immediately, that split second when you decide that something else is the reason why you are stuck, you lose your power. You lose your power to create the life and the business that you want to create. And so in all areas of my life, in every area of my life, I am in a deep recognition that where I am today is a byproduct of who I've been. And if I want greater results in my life or my business, I need to be a better version of myself. And it can be hard sometimes because it's a hard thing to just accept that where you are right now is a byproduct of your own creation. And I've found that successful people tend to have an easier job at doing this because there's like almost more to boast. But the real challenging thing, because it's not that hard for me right now. I'm very proud of where I am. I've got a great relationship, great business, everything's going quite well in my life. But the hard part is when you're a beginner, when you have nothing going for you, when you are at that like 0 point. And that's a lot of people who watch my channel. They are at that 0 point. I plead with you, take responsibility for it. Accept that where you are today is a byproduct of your own doing. It's not your parents, it's not your spouse, it's not the taxes you've had to pay, it's not the debt you were in, it's nothing. You are the creator of your reality. You're the master of your own fate. You've been given free will by what I believe to be a loving and generous God who gave you the ability to build your life into whatever you design it to be. You have the ability to alchemically create whatever you want in your reality, in your life. And if you, for any split moment, blame something outside of you, you've lost your power to do that. And the sad thing is, it's comfortable. It's easy to do that. So it's a very easy short-term thing to do. And for me personally, and this might relate to you, I don't even necessarily recognize when I'm doing it. So I'll be like, man, like the business just I can't get it to that next level. And you know why? It's because like, oh, I got this dog recently and this dog's just been very distracting. And it's like, well, I decided to get the dog, right? So it's like, is it the dog's fault or is it my fault for deciding to do it? And I'll even like, and this is very vulnerable for me, I'll even use like getting married soon and planning a wedding as like kind of a crutch. It's like, oh, like the business is where it could be here, but it's kind of here right now because I'm like planning a wedding. That's a lot of work. And like, sure, but it was my decision to get married and to plan a wedding. So am I going to take responsibility for that? Or am I going to keep using it as a crutch and just keep using it as an excuse to not do what's needed on an everyday level in my business? So it's very devious how it works. This thing just sneaks in and you start to realize like the areas of your life that you've been blaming for so long. Once you take that blame down and you put on top of the blame where it once was responsibility for recreating that area of your life, you'll notice the world just opens up to you. And it sucks and it's hard and it's very humbling, but the world legitimately opens up to you. You can do literally anything so long as you are willing to accept full responsibility for where you are right now. It's nobody else's fault but your own. Which brings me to my next habit. You know, once you've taken full responsibility, you've got a good circle, you're filling your head with good information and all this stuff, the next habit is having a clear end vision for where you're trying to get in a given season of your life. You know, and this is something that a lot of people don't realize they're lacking. They really don't have a personal vision. They're just trying to recreate other people's vision. Maybe you're watching this video right now and you say, man, I want to be like Trey. And I want to encourage you that that's actually the wrong way of thinking. You don't want to be like me. You are you. You need to create your own version of what I've created for myself in your own way. And you can define it however you want to define it. However much money you want to make, whatever sort of relationship you want, you can create all these things. Again, so long as you're taking full responsibility, you can create exactly where you want to be and by when. And so one of the most powerful things I did when I was a beginner was I got very clear on exactly what I was trying to create and by when I was trying to create it. And I remember writing on a little sticky note on my desk. It was right here on my monitor. And it said $20,000 a month, a Rolex, and a Jaguar F-Type. Very materialistic, I know, but that's what I had there, and it was just a constant reminder, this is what I'm trying to build. And I had like a 2-year time frame. Like I had $500 in the bank account. I gave myself 2 years to achieve these things. And guess what? It was sitting there staring me in the face every single day, and I did it. There was power in having that physical reminder in my environment of exactly what I'm trying to do. So I posted this on my story today, and it's kind of relevant to this idea of having a clear end mission. You know, it's one thing to have a clear end mission, but in order to have a clear end mission, you also have to have a very undistracted or very focused lifestyle and mental state. And so there's this tweet that I posted on my story. I figured I'd read it here to you. It says, porn is a tool to weaken men, social media is a tool to weaken focus, advertising is a tool to lower self-esteem, and debt is a tool used by central banks to control the world. The tool to fight back, self-control. So now that you've got a clear vision of where you're going, by when you want to get there, and maybe even a deep, resounding why and a clear decision that you've made to sacrifice in order to get there, that brings me to my next habit, and I think this is 7 now. I don't know. I'm not counting, but that's self-control. And of all of the habits on this list, this is by far the one that I personally struggle the most with on a day-to-day basis. We live in such a distracted world. Social media, advertising, television. Today's July 4th when I'm filming this, and like, gosh, as much as like I love America and everything, it's like I'm getting invited to all these things, and like family wants to see me and friends want to. It's just like, gosh, like every single day it seems like there's a new reason to not do the work. If I just decide to accept that excuse, there's always every single day a new reason to not do the work. Whether it's like, I should probably call this person today, or I should visit the bank and fix this thing with the bank, or I should, go, fix this thing with my car, or whatever it is, there's always a reason to not do the work. Or even just being distracted, like you want to play some video games, you want to hang out with some friends. You're going through a book, and maybe it's a good book, and maybe it's helpful for your business, but like you have some important work to do today, and you should do that instead. And so self-control is by far the greatest weapon of the 1%. Everybody that I've met that is at a top performing level, doing $1 million a month or more in their business, and I've got a network of tons of these people that inspire me every single day, they are all monk-like in their ability to control their own desires and channel their behavior every single day. And they do this, and I do this with two things. Just honest to God self-control, a willingness to turn off, that voice in your head that says, hey, go do something else, or go do this thing, and, just an actual self-discipline. But equally as important is the other side, which is, creating an environment where it's easy to be disciplined, where it's easy to do the important work. And this, for me, looks like things like having an office where I can shut the door behind me. That's been very helpful because I can just focus in. No matter what's going on in the outer world, I'm doing the activities that grow my company every single day. Another one, and this is one that I teach my clients, is a ritual that I call PTT. It's plan tomorrow today. This is at the end of every workday. So today it'll be about 5:30 or 6 p.m. I'll be ending my workday. It's about 1:45 right now. I'm going to plan tomorrow's workday so that I hit the gym in the morning, and then when I get to work, I know exactly what I'm going to do. So that way I'm not wasting time. When you don't know what you're going to do, your brain is just like, I'm just going to go find something. And it goes for the most immediate thing, which is often phone or social media or what. It goes immediately into things that don't serve it. So if you don't have a plan, the most natural instincts will just kind of fall into the gaps of your lack of a plan. And then the last thing, and this is a big ticket, is like having a business that I actually enjoy running. So like, willpower is quite easy, when you actually enjoy your work, right? And when you learn to appreciate the things that your work can do for you. And like right now, I legitimately love making videos. It's a blast for me. There for about a month, I wasn't really making a lot of them because we were doing some other stuff in the business. We got our first $100,000 cash collected week. That's not revenue. That's not contract value. It's literally, we had $100,000 in payments coming through in a single week. So I've been very, very busy actually running my business as opposed to just being an influencer, right? So I haven't really made that many YouTube videos, but now that I'm back home and things are settled a little bit, I can make some more content. And I've also got a brand new editor, Matt Rhodes, incredible dude, welcome to the team. And so I'm making more content again. I actually enjoy the different elements of the business that take it to that next level. I enjoy coaching. I enjoy sales. I enjoy working with my team. I enjoy filming new content for our flagship course product, as well as our mastermind, working with those clients, getting them to $1 million a year. I enjoy all of the work and all of the things that it creates for me, as well as the opportunities that it gives me to give other people gifts that help them in their life and in their business. So anyway, these are 7 habits that help me become a $1 million a year earner by the age of 22. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and hopefully you can see that these are things that I actually practice. This isn't just top of my head fluff. These are more like mental postures than they are physical daily routines. I can get into that if you want me to. Just let me know in the comments below. I'll happily make like a daily routine video. To be honest, it's pretty loosely structured with a few key, like railroad tracks, if that makes sense. Like it's pretty loose on the ends, but there's a clear center that I focus on every day. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like, subscribe. I've got plenty more coming like it. And be sure to tune into more videos because I'm making a lot more of them moving forward. And I'm going to do my best to stay consistent with that. But again, like I said, I'm actually running the business, and moving from running the business to making videos about the business, it's like kind of disorienting. And it's like two parts of my brain that have a very hard time coinciding and working together. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed. See you in the next video.